terror links at the United Nations Security Council. A special team will attend this week's 1267 Sanctions Committee meeting to press for the designation of the Resistance Front, or TRF, as a global terror outfit. This comes after the April 22nd Pahalgam attack, which killed 26 civilians and sharply escalated tensions with Pakistan. India will submit new proof connecting TRF to the attack and exposing Pakistan's direct support to the group. The 1267 committee, which targets entities linked to ISIS and Al-Qaeda, has seen Pakistan, with China's backing, repeatedly block actions against groups like the TRF. Pakistan, currently a non-permanent member of the Security Council, is under growing global scrutiny as India intensifies its diplomatic push to isolate Islamabad on the world stage. On the other hand, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his first address since the escalation, declared that India will not succumb to nuclear blackmail. He made it clear that terror and talks cannot go hand in hand and warned that India will no longer distinguish between terrorists and the states that sponsor them. Modi said that Operation Sindoor represents not just retaliation but a shift in India's national security posture, a clear signal that terrorism will be met with decisive and unyielding force. Joining us on the program to talk more about this is Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, former diplomat. Ambassador Dayal, appreciate you joining us. Well, India is going to present its case when it comes to the 1267 committee, but the fact of the matter is that even if this one is banned, sir, Pakistan will come up with another proxy and another one after that. This is not going to be a permanent solution, sir.
Yes, you're absolutely right. There are so many Pakistan-based terror organizations which are already on the prescribed list by the 1267 Sanctions Committee of the UN Security Council. But what happens is that new organizations come up, or the old organizations change their name and still continue to operate. So Pakistani terror policies are such that they promote these organizations. So, of course, there will be a lot of possibilities of the TRF re-emerging in some way or the other. But nonetheless, the steps which India is taking to approach the UNSC 1267 Sanctions Committee and get the TRF prescribed as a terrorist organization, this is an important step, because what will happen is that we will present the latest evidence highlighting Pakistan's complicity in terrorism, and we will approach the 1267 Sanctions Committee to designate the Resistance Front, or the TRF, as a terrorist organization and impose sanctions and travel bans on its members. Now, if these sanctions and travel bans are imposed, that does place some restrictions on their movements and their ability to carry out terrorist activities. Some Pakistani terrorist organizations are already designated by the UN, and these include Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Lashkar-e-Jangvi. But the Pakistani ISI finds some way or another to have these organizations continue to operate. Now, the evidence which we will present to the UN 1267 committee will focus on the role of the TRF in the Pahalgam terror attack on April 22nd, in which 26 innocent civilians were killed. Now, what has happened is that the TRF has emerged on the terror scene as an offshoot of the LET. The LET has promoted this subsidiary outfit. It's an offshoot. And the TRF emerged after the government of India decided to do away with the special status of Jammu and Kashmir under Article 370 of the Constitution. Now, what has happened is that our National Investigating Agency has found that there are several terror cases linked to the TRF, and we have found that this organization, the TRF, is involved in the planning, killings, recruiting terrorists, and smuggling of weapons. So what has happened is that TRF has been involved in a whole series of terror attacks, and that is why it's very important to have it designated as a terrorist outfit by the UN Security Council's 1267 committee.
And Ambassador Dayal, of course, then there is the problem of China, which continues to block anything that India gets, tries to get passed. This is obviously a problem at the UN level. India, representing 1/5 of humanity on the globe, definitely needs a larger say when it comes to the UNSC ecosystem.
Yes, but you're right. The problem is China, because China is a permanent UNSC member and it has veto power. So in the past also, we have encountered difficulties which have been created by China. China supports Pakistan. China doesn't think that these terrorists should be proscribed because they work for the Pakistani ISI, and that suits China. Because if they hurt India, that's exactly what China is happy with. So China has resisted efforts made by us in the past to have some terrorists or terrorist organizations placed on the list of the UN Security Council as banned or proscribed organizations. Now, Pakistan, of course, has been doing everything possible to shield the TRF, and it has till now managed to block the mention of this terror outfit's name in a UNSC statement which condemned the April 22nd Pahalgam terror attack. This removing of the name of the TRF from the UN statement happened because China helped Pakistan. So there is a nexus of evil between Pakistan and China, and this gives cover and protection to these terrorist outfits. But nonetheless, our efforts continue, and we will present very strong evidence to the committee to show that there is a great need to ban this terrorist organization, the TRF, and put severe restrictions on its members, which would include sanctions and travel restrictions.
Always a pleasure having you, sir. Thank you so much.